You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey YNR fans, it's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and Nikki Newman continues her slide into a full-blown alcohol addiction situation again, while those who care about her seem to be enabling her and setting her up to be even more vulnerable for Jordan Howard's coming attack. I mean, Jordan Howard is coming. We know this. So let's talk about what Nikki's family and friends should be doing for her instead of what they are doing. But first, please click subscribe if you haven't. All right. So we have Nikki bailing on her job to go day drink at a sleazy bar on the outskirts of Genoa City. Victor's security people let him know, and he ran over there, but Nikki saw him, and then she hid, and then she sent Jack that garbled, drunken text asking him to distract Victor and get him out of there. Hasn't this all gone on long enough with everyone pretending that this is some sort of minor blip in Nikki Newman's sobriety struggle and assuming that she's going to figure it out for herself? She's not. The taunting that she is getting from Jordan with those phone calls of either creepy silence or stripper burlesque music are driving her up the wall. And even before those calls started, you know, when Nikki first came back from Oregon after the whole vodka IV, her family didn't take steps to help her recover her sobriety or equip her to do it for herself. Can we just talk for a second about what they should have done the moment they got back to Genoa City? So, you know, you take Nikki over, you check her into the hospital, you get her examined, make sure she doesn't have alcohol poisoning, check to make sure there's no after effects of the drug that Claire Howard gave her, any signs of infection from the Smirnoff stent that they put into her hand. And once Nikki gets a clean bill of health from the immediate, signs of trauma, you pack her up some cute little lounging PJs and some romance novels and some little eye shades and slippers, and you ship her off to a posh rehab facility. Put her at the Betty Ford Clinic. Not only can the Newmans afford the best rehab in the country, but I suspect as the CEO of Newman Media, Nikki Newman's probably got top of the line health insurance that covers inpatient rehab for at least a month, maybe more. Why on God's green earth wasn't she sent to rehab already? Not to punish her. This is not her fault, but to save her, to give her the tools she needs to fight back against this attack on her sobriety. But they skipped all that and they took her home to the ranch where the living room had that cart full of booze. I mean, really? Do you take a recovering meth addict to the Sudafed factory? No, you don't do it. It took literally weeks for Victor to finally decide to clear off that cart and just put out a bucket of ice and a pitcher of nice, cool, clean water there. That freaking cart is where Nikki was refilling her flask. By the way, that same flask that was in her desk, not even hidden that well, that Victor searched and didn't find. Not a very good job. It is obviously and absolutely not Nikki's fault that she fell off the wagon. Not saying it is, but at some point she does have to take ownership of the actions she took after that. She didn't start this crisis, but she has to find the inner strength to end it. And that's not an easy thing. My dad was an alcoholic. I've spoken to you guys about this. I remember visiting him in rehab. We had this little pile of these little woven trivets that he made in the kitchen. A lot of other stuff he made in arts and crafts class, like on the fridge. And it took a couple of months, if I recall. I was pretty young at the time, but he got clean and he has stayed clean this whole time. Then again, Jordan wasn't stalking my dad and putting a vodka IV in him. But nonetheless, rehab works for a lot of people. Alcoholics Anonymous works for a lot of people too. My dad didn't have a lot of luck with AA until he did rehab, and then AA was very helpful for his maintenance and ongoing sobriety. But plenty of people make it work with just AA. That's fine. However, what doesn't help an alcoholic is enablers surrounding you and encouraging you by allowing you to keep doing bad. To me, it seems like Victor, Victoria, and Nick are so focused on this bad thing that was done to Nikki that they're not addressing the hard fact that no matter how it began, they have to treat it like any other loss of sobriety. Cold turkey, put up the booze, get to rehab, Get to a meeting. Don't let her get away with sneaking and lying and hiding. That's the kind of stuff Jack has been saying, and it's not happening. And to a certain extent, Jack Abbott has also been enabling Nikki, but I do think he sees the error of his ways and he's trying to correct. Because this week, Jack comes completely clean to Victor, tells him everything Nikki's been doing, that he's been her secret sponsor, and with Victor and Jack working together and being honest with each other and both of them being supportive of Nikki, maybe they can help her through this, but enabling is not the answer. While Nikki's spiral continues, Jordan's getting closer and closer to her big finale as a villain on Y&R. No doubt she is still coming for Nikki. She wants to hurt Nikki to punish Victor for breaking her crazy sister Eve's heart. And of course, Jordan started that fire at the jail, no doubt, and now she's hitching a ride to Genoa City, or maybe she's already there, staying with Seth. I don't think that guy's done yet. They kind of made too big a deal out of him. But the other thing to consider is that by Nikki's family not helping her actively regain her sobriety and her strength, they're making her more vulnerable to the threat of Jordan Howard. Because make no mistake, Jordan is coming and she's coming for Nikki. And when Jordan calls her to play more stripper music, this week, Nikki shouts at her, "Come for me." But she's slurring, she's drunk, she's in a very weak and vulnerable state. I mean, that is the perfect recipe for disaster. And consider this, if Victor and Jack drove Nikki to rehab and put her in for a nice long stay, she would be getting sober while also staying safe from that lunatic. I don't know what the Newmans are thinking lately. Nikki fired Audra Charles, who was running Newman Media while her boss was off day drinking, and Victor and the others just let that slide. Now Nikki's skipping work, and I can only assume that she's running Newman Media into the ground. Jack goes and he asks Lauren Fenmore to step in and run it for Nikki. Why the heck is Jack making hiring decisions for a Newman subsidiary? And why the heck hasn't Victor put Nikki on a leave of absence and put Adam in as the interim CEO, because he made a huge success of Newman Media in the past? I know why Nikki's judgment is impaired. She was shoved off the wagon by bad people. What's the excuse for the impaired judgment of both her children, her husband, and her ex-husband, who are all lining up to enable her and her bad decisions and make her weaker for the moment when Jordan comes? This spells disaster. Hey, drop your comments. Let me know what you think about all this. Please click subscribe if you haven't already, and definitely come back soon. We are here talking Young and the Restless 7 days a week, and as always, it's Belinda from Soap Dirt.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.